Hey listeners, Dan Harris here, host of the 10% Happier podcast. Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible Originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Harris or text Harris to 500-500.
The weather is cooling down a bit. The leaves are starting to fall. Yes, it's that time of year again, football season. And we all know the best part of any game day traditions are the ones that involve food. There's nothing like having everyone in your game day crew coming together to bring their best bites and argue over whose family makes the best chili. And while there's no need to mess with the perfection of game day classics, like a freshly grilled Oscar Mayer hot dog topped with Heinz ketchup and mustard, it's always fun to step out of your comfort zone and get creative with your recipes. Because there's nothing more fun than adding to your list of game day traditions, like making a creamy and delectable queso dip with Velveeta cheese that can be eaten with so much more than just chips. Now is the chance for people across the nation to find out whose game day eats reign supreme. It's your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food tradition to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Hey, good morning, Tom.
Good morning, O.
Top of the morning to you. There's this great game out. I went to the pro shop. I had to buy my son some equipment. And there's this legend in Burgerville, Pete Romano. He's been running pro shops and stores for years.
Right.
So him and it's actually a funny story.
They named the cheese after him, right?
They did. It's Swiss. So I'm buying shoulder pads for my son, and the one kid is helping me, and we get to talking, and he's like, "You coached me," and I was like, "Wow." So it turns out this Phil Lasher I'd coached growing up. He was working there, and then Pete is this legend, and they were like, "Hey, there's this great game we play. It's called Puck Dooku. I don't know if you've seen this. It's kind of brand new. You should pull it up on your screen." So basically, you know Sudoku? You ever play that game? No.
Oh, yeah, the numbers. Okay.
Yes. Yep. So now they have it, but it's with hockey. And it'll be a picture. It'll say, okay, it'll be three teams on the top, or two teams in a category. So they'll say like Rangers, Devils, 1,000 games in NHL. Then on the other column, it'll say Winnipeg Jets, Los Angeles Kings, right, gold medal. Yep. So you basically have to match someone who played for the Rangers Devils and someone who played for the Rangers Kings, then someone who played for the Rangers about 1,000 games. It's a great game, and it's addictive, and there's like a new version of it every day.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
So I've been playing since I saw these guys a couple weeks ago, and I'm waiting for the Rangers and Kings question so I can get Tom Laidlaw, but it hasn't come up yet. But I think
didn't they call that the Laidlaw Cup when the Kings and the Rangers played the finals there a few years ago?
I don't think they did. They might have called it the Gretzky Cup because he was a little more prominent than you and played for both teams, or even the Bernie Nichols Cup, but the Mark Hardy Cup.
Mark Messi? No,
not Messi. Yari Curry, Shane Churla. Who else played for the Rangers and Kings?
That's a pretty good question.
Jonathan Quick, soon to be.
Yes.
Marion Gaborik,
Mike Allison,
Thomas Sandstrom, Tony Granato.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a lot of guys that went both ways there. Who else like you went both ways? Like bi-coastal.
What's wrong with you?
No, I'm just saying, there's a lot of guys that played for the
great family show.
Rangers and the Kings. Who else? I'm trying to think who else played. There's got to be some other guys that we're not thinking of right now. Right?
Rangers.
Listeners are probably screaming in their car right now.
Yeah.
Who else? Who are we forgetting? We said Granato.
Rick Chartrand.
Rick Chartrand, number 11.
It's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one.
It's not his claim to fame. He's a good team guy, too, but Barry Beck smoked him.
Oh, Barry Beck, that's right.
Oh, that's right. He
played
Beck.
both teams.
Yeah. Goalie.
Trying to think who else.
Glenn Healy,
that's a good one.
Thank you.
Very good.
There's got to be a lot more, that I played with.
I think we named off about a dozen right there. But so anyway, Mark, who else?
Mark Hardy.
It says hard.
Yeah. Okay, Cowhead. He's a fun guy. We used to
call him Cowhead?
Yeah, we used to give each other a hard time about our heads. He's actually a very funny guy. He's really cleaned up his life too. We went through some tough times with alcohol and everything. Really cleaned up his life, so good to see.
Yeah, that's but there's a lot of guys that play for both those teams. So anyway, that's
Jay Wells.
Oh, Jay Wells, Stanley Cup winner. So that's the gist of the game is you match up and then you have to fill out the 9 squares. Man, it's pretty cool. And they also rate you on uniqueness. Like, you pull one out of nowhere, like Rick Chartrand, nobody would guess.
That's true.
Everybody would guess Gretzky. And you get your ratings and there's a new game every day. So thanks to Pete Romano and the guys at the Ice House.
Cheese man, Pete Romano.
Yeah, Swiss. He invented Swiss cheese. So those guys are big listeners to the podcast too. So shout out to those guys.
Oh, good. Hey, Pete,
Phil, and Greg Shaw, who connected us all, who was a knucklehead that I played with for a long time. So a lot of guys played both teams. A lot of guys played for. Not many guys played for the Rangers and the Islanders. There's a good number, but
yeah, Mike McEwen comes to mind. Gilbert was
very good. That was a trivia question.
Yeah, you got that one.
Did I nailed that one?
Right.
Who else? Chris Simon. Played for both teams.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Kevin Weeks.
Ken Baumgartner. No, he would play for the Rangers. No,
Kevin Weeks played for all 3 Metro teams. He's one of the few who played for all 3.
Great one. That's a good one.
Is he the only one? Anyone listening, if they want to school us on that?
That's cool. Brian Mullen.
Brian Mullen.
No, he played for Rangers and for the
Brian Berard played for the Rangers Islanders.
Right.
But Glenn Ely, of course, famously. Ray Ferraro. I don't think there's any that played for all 3.
That's right. I'm trying to think of, maybe there's some guy that hardly played very much.
Maybe.
Banged around a little bit.
Your buddy Chico Resch played for just the Islanders and Devils.
Chico Mesh.
Why do you say that? Because he was like Swiss cheese?
So I scored a goal one time in the playoffs on him. And he got interviewed after, and he said, the worst thing about it is that guy scored.
He said it on TV.
I think it was TV.
If anybody can find that clip, please send it in. We'll run that all over the place.
When I did when I went on Survivor, I don't know if you know I was on Survivor. We did like a demo tape kind of thing, and people put it together, found a clip of me scoring that goal against Chico.
Not Chico Resch.
Yeah.
Chico
was that was a wrist shot from outside the blue line.
Cool. So you fired it.
Oh, yeah.
Has it hit the back of the net yet?
It did. There's about 12 people screening too.
You scored 24 goals in the NHL.
25 to be
25 regular season goals, right? How many playoff goals?
Actually, I think my points per game in the playoffs went up, but I can't remember though. Maybe it's like 6.
Wow. It's 6 playoff goals?
Maybe 10 at the most. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're like you're a money player. Look at that. You stepped it up.
I love the playoffs. Yeah. Like, especially that's one thing. It's if you're talking to Warren Renko, we just did a show with him. Talking about like going to those playoff runs, how much fun that is, the memories and all that stuff.
It's just everything's just heightened, right?
Yeah, and you're not practicing as much. Weather's nicer. It's just that whole like that atmosphere of the playoffs. Every shift means so much. You're all fired up, and you know that most guys play hard all the time, anyways. But there's John Muckler, was an old coach, who said, "Listen, if you can get all the guys in your team to play 75% of the time at the top of the game, that's big in the National Hockey.
Okay,
but in the playoffs, it seems like every game is big, and it's really like if you don't have a good game, it's a really disappointment, like as an individual or as a team. And it's really, I can't remember too many times where you leave the game after a playoff game, God, we could have played better. Like you really usually, as well.
Well, in your runs, I mean, you had some long runs. You didn't really have many series where you guys got smoked. You made the playoffs every year, right?
Yep,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was very lucky. There's only 21 teams back then. That's really,
but still,
yeah, it was pretty cool. But even like we've talked this before, we didn't have the long runs that year in '84 where we lost the first round.
Yes. Oh, heartbreaker.
Man, I look back at that and I think, we could have won the cup that year.
Yeah.
And it's just like a great team. Herb Brooks got the team that he wanted, all the pieces of it.
Yeah, we talk about this one all the time, man. This one stinks. This one hurts. And even for the fans, obviously for the players.
Especially we were up 2-1 playing at the Garden.
I think you won game 3, like 7-2?
Yeah.
Did Billy Smith get pulled?
Yes, he did, yeah. I think that was the game. I was at the series. Maybe I don't think it was that year that Bob Nation smoked me and put me in the hospital for.
And no one's heard that story before. No listeners have heard that. So 11 years in the NHL, 11 years in the playoffs.
Yes.
Survivor didn't make the playoffs. So you took that winning mentality and attitude and couldn't use it on the island.
Yeah, but look at the positive way, right? Because I'm helping other people now is what I do in my career. So I help those other players.
Sacrifice yourself. Yeah. So you said, I'm going to stay here for 3 weeks and just leave.
Yeah, I'm gonna not be that scumbag.
Who needs $1 million? I'm just going to go home. That would have been nice. We would have had air conditioning in the studio here.
No way.
We'd have it. We just wouldn't use it.
We have air conditioning here. We just don't use it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's bomb.
No, it's like, we're doing like the David Goggins thing.
We put a jacket on.
So I don't think so. You could put at least a light colored shirt on. Tom has a habit of wearing black shirts on a black backdrop.
That is the shirt. Yeah.
But
I've learned to kiss the mic.
You need to, kiss the mic. Tim Menz from San Jose, California, he was like please tell Tom Laidlaw to move closer. I said, all right, Tim.
Oh, did he really?
He did, actually.
I noticed I don't listen to too many of the shows. I listen to the one that I was on.
Wait, stop, time out. So we put out 51 episodes as of right now, and Tom has listened full from start to finish to one of them, right?
Well, I figure I'm doing them all anyway, so I don't have to go back and...
But even still, and the episode that you listened to was episode 50, the celebration episode featuring Tom Laidlaw.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, I want to make sure that we're great.
Real nice. You listen to yourself and no other ones. This is a great one.
The only thing that's disappointing me, we do this podcast, is it's not all visual too. I don't get to see myself.
Well, we are looking at yourself on the screen.
Right.
Once in a while, you look over here. I think to make sure I'm still here. But otherwise, it's just you don't even look at the guests. You look at yourself, which is kind of awesome.
Oh, that's funny.
But we have some great fans of the show who love the podcast, who listen to more than just a Laidlaw episode. I'll shout out some names. We have like Mike Slifka, who you met from Detroit. He's a goalie. You met him at Chelsea Piers. Real nice guy.
Oh, okay.
Vinny Morenzi likes the show. Adam Feld, and of course, I have a good buddy, Jason Director, JD, who is a nut, but he loves the show. He told me he is up to date. He's heard all 52 episodes. He said he looks forward to it and like makes his Tuesday and Thursday.
Does he say that I'm better than you on the show?
He says the show should be Full Change with Tom Laidlaw and Tom Smith. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm humble. I'm unlike Tom. I'm very humble. I'm in the background. I don't want any attention. I'm not looking at myself right now in the monitor smiling. Yeah, there he goes. So listen, Tom preaches self-love, and he definitely walks the walk.
So, it's funny. I do another live show on Thursdays, usually on Thursdays. Today's Thursday.
Oh, today's Thursday. Wow.
That's right. So I'll do it later on. And so I'm on by myself. So, yeah, I'm sitting there looking at myself. It's terrible.
And there's no guest, so it's just you. Look, and he's got a smile like a 6-year-old looking at myself.
I do when I'm doing it by myself. It's kind of funny because the guests now, because it's just me, I'm not going back and forth with the guests.
Right.
So the people are writing in questions and everything. And we've got a group now that's pretty funny. Like we start carving each other. There's this Tracy Bree. She's always like, she's got this thing. She kind of zings me. She'll write the word like it's no. It's like and oh.
Okay. Exaggerating.
It's pretty funny. Everybody chimes in on it, and everybody. Pretty funny, and then pick sides. Some people start picking on me, some people start defending me. So that's cool.
Well, you're a good target. You're a good chirper too, but you're also a good target. So you take it.
I do figure if I'm going to be in the kitchen throwing around the heat, I'm going to be better
take the heat for sure. And you do like the kitchen. You have a 45-second cook show every Sunday.
Oh, I'm going to get on that too. One of our guests, Susan Brooks, loyal listener, she got me the casting people for the cooking show. So we're going to get on that. I'm going to get on the cooking network,
and maybe you'll make it more than 3 episodes if there's a Survivor type show.
I'll have my own show.
You should. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's get a cooking show going for Tom Laidlaw. Yeah. But today we have a great guest. We have someone who is basically doing what you're doing, but speaking of bi-coastal for the Kings. Daryl Evans. What a great guy. People are going to love this show. We're going to love hearing from him.
Yeah. First time I spoke to him. I heard about him. We get mutual friends out there and everything. I've heard many good things about him. And I'm pleasantly surprised how well he did after the game. Like I didn't know how long he played. He talked about traveling over to Europe,
and they'll hear all that in this great episode. He's an infectious, positive guy, just like you. You come away from this one smiling. So if people enjoy this, is going to be Daryl Evans from the Los Angeles Kings.
The Scottish Brogue, great show.
It's actually getting better. All right. So, Tom, we got a great show today because we have someone who's essentially a counterpart to yours, doing a lot of the same things you're doing, working with his team, staying in great shape. However, he is definitely better in the drip department than you are. That means his style. He's got a lot of style.
Drip? I've never heard that.
Well, you got to get with the young kids these days. He's got drip.
Have you heard drip before?
I have not heard that. No, only if it involved snow, and that was a big snow drip.
There you go. Well, I have teenage daughters, so they keep me up to date on the lingo. So he's got the drip. He also scored one of the biggest goals in Kings history in the Miracle in Manchester. Today we have Daryl Evans on the show.
Daryl, how are you, bud?
I'm doing great, Tom. How about yourself?
Very good, dude. I watch you all the time. Your suits that you wear, your exercise. You and I live kind of the same life. We've kind of got into the 60s, right? We just say, screw it. We're going to do whatever we want to do.
You know what? That's just, you got to have that mindset. I mean, time goes by too fast. So, we've got limited time. So make the best of it and enjoy it.
Definitely. So where'd you grow up? Where's home?
Toronto.
Oh, okay. I'm from Brampton. So, yeah, we're close by.
Just down the road.
Yeah, definitely. So growing up as a kid then, who did you play for?
I played with the Young Nats pretty much my entire youth hockey career. And then became, when I got to junior B, I went to the Seneca Nationals. And then from there, that's where I was drafted to the Niagara Falls Flyers for the OHA at that time.
Okay, good. And then, so you were drafted by the Kings first? Is that where you're drafted?
Yeah. Kings were my draft team in 1980. I was drafted by the Kings in the 9th round, and then played a few years between there and their farm team in New Haven, Connecticut, and then got traded to Washington, played a few games with the Capitals, and spent some time with their team in Binghamton, New York, and then signed with Toronto as a free agent, played between the Maple Leafs and the Newmarket Saints, and then spent the last 2 years of my career as a player, or I went as a player, went over to Italy as a player, Northern Italy, Val Gardena, played as a player there. And then the year after, I went over to England as a player coach. Started the season off doing both, and then eventually went into coaching, and that was the end of the playing career. It ended in England.
So obviously you've done a lot more in your game, but that goal you scored for the Kings there, what was the Miracle in Manchester, that was called?
Yeah. Miracle on Manchester, the old street that the Fabulous Forum was on there.
There you go,
California.
Well, let's back up, because that was the Kings versus the upstart Kings against Gretzky and the young Oilers. It's tied 1-1, but they're back at the Forum and they're getting just pumped by the Oilers. It's 5-0 going into the third period, and then the miracle happens.
Yeah, it was like a crazy series, because during the season the Oilers finished 46 points ahead of the Kings that year in the standings. I mean, we got in just because 4 teams out of the division had to make it, and the Rockies were playing at that time, and they were below us. So we got in. Everybody, it was only a 3 out of 5 series. Everybody expected a sweep. Game 1 started off in that fashion. The Oilers took a big lead, 4-1 in the first period. And that was actually the year that they expanded the roster. They went from 19 players to 20 players in the playoffs. And that's the only reason I got a chance to play in the playoff, is because they expanded the roster. And then game 1, we turned out, we came back, we won this game by a score of 10-8, which is the highest scoring game between 2 teams combined in a playoff game, 18 goals. And that was my first playoff game. I had 2 goals, 2 assists. I was a first-star hockey night in Canada. And I thought that, I was in heaven. So it was an incredible start. 2 nights later, Gretzky beats us in overtime, even the series up. They beat us 3-2. And then we came back to L.A., and that set the stage for the miracle, where the Oilers built a 5-0 lead going into the third period. And we tied it up with 5 seconds left. Steve Bozak tied it up. And then in overtime, on my first shift of overtime, Doug Smith wins a faceoff. I close my eyes and hammer it. It finds its way over Grant Fuhr's shoulder, and that gives us a 2-1 lead in the series that was short-lived. 2 nights later, the Oilers beat us again 3-2 in our building. And just there was no preparation for Game 5, really, other than it being on the schedule. And both teams flew on the same charter going back to Edmonton for Game 5.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it was the quietest flight I've ever been on.
Yeah, that for anyone listening, that doesn't normally happen, does it?
Back in the day, they used to do on a train, they would do that kind of stuff. And for what year was this? 81, 82? Or?
That's it. Yeah, that's in 82. It's the spring of 82.
So just to set that up, you guys and the Oilers are on the same plane.
Same plane. Yeah, very, very quiet. And we went to Edmonton, and we beat them 7-4 in Game 5 to win the series. And it was ironic that they had set all kinds of records. That's the year Gretzky, 92 goals and 203,000 points, and everything. And we won the 10-8 game. We won the 6-5 game. We won the 7-4 game, and they won the 2-3-2 game. So It was crazy how it went that way. But it was probably the best lesson that team, the Oilers, learned, because after that, they developed into a dynasty, and they went on to win all kinds of championships. And it was 1 step backwards, 2 forwards for them.
Yeah, I remember when I first got traded to the Kings. We played Edmonton in the first round of the playoffs, and we go up to Edmonton, and like you said, they learned all those lessons. We go in there, beat them the first game, and you just get that feeling though at that team at that point. It's like, oh God, what did we do? That was probably one of the worst things you could do. Tyler Curry come back and kill us, right? I think the next game was like 7-2 or 8-2 or something like that. Yeah, and they were sleepwalking through the first game, but they were pretty talented. So now you're living in L.A. now, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So you went through all that moving around and decided you want to come back to L.A. Was your family there or something? You just want to come back?
Well, it was. I ended up marrying a girl from California, and at the end of my playing career, like when I went to Europe, my intentions were to go back and continue coaching. I had a coaching deal set up to go back to England and coach, and we were at a barbecue one weekend and got talking to some people and asked me what I was going to do when I retired. And at that time, there was a lot of personal training going on. Fitness was a big kick in the mid 80s in LA. And, I figured maybe, I'd go to a gym and, maybe, be like a trainer or some personal trainer and that type of stuff was something that I always I always had interest in. And somebody asked me, they said, you ever thought of selling cars? And I go, God, I don't even know where the key goes in most cars. And I went for an interview the next day, and I came home and retired from hockey and became a car salesman. And I didn't know that. It was a whole change of lifestyle for me. I was working out in the valley, and I was selling Cadillacs. And it took me 9 days to sell my first car. On my 10th day, I sold 5. And then I ended up only working the last quarter of the year because I started in September. So in the last quarter of the year, I ended up 5th in sales in the country in dealerships our size. So for whatever reason, I had a knack for it. I became an assistant manager at the dealership where I was at, and then eventually moved to Beverly Hills and stayed there for a little bit. And within a short period of time, I became the manager of the largest volume Cadillac dealership in California, and that was Martin Cadillac in West LA, where I earned master manager status for 7 years, and it was a great transition.
That's cool. I didn't know. No, you still selling cars?
No. But it's funny. I'm not selling them, but I still think I connect a whole bunch of people to different places for cars. So, just having had that experience. But
interesting. I'm interested. So why were you good at it? What do you know why?
I think it was just like the car business was a little bit slippery, back in the day. Like there weren't invoices, there wasn't the internet. It was just kind of taking people's word. You shake hands with them, you end up, losing 3 fingers. You weren't sure what you were getting. Sure. I think it was just the honesty and probably being naive, as I was when I first started. And I think people appreciated that. And like in my office, I had a couple of hockey pictures, and it seemed like to be a barrier that just kind of, took down that that wall there. And we got talking about that, and it was great. It just met some incredible people. And where our dealership was, we dealt with a lot of the Hollywood type people, and made some great contacts, some great connections. But more importantly, I learned to deal with people and how to treat people, and it's paid dividends for many years to follow.
And don't you think your role as a player is probably, I mean this in a good way, you're a 9th round pick. You didn't make it because of your skill. Tom jokes at me all the time, but you didn't make it because of your skill. You had to make it because you were that good team player too, right? So I'm assuming that's part of what. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and I think I was able to take some of that, what we developed in our game of hockey is that teamwork to the dealership. Usually in a car place, at least back at that time, 30 plus years ago, 40 years ago, everybody was an individual. They're on their own little island. But, I tried to bring that in. Like, if you had a customer coming in and let's say you were off the next day, I'd try to help you out with the delivery, or whatever. If you needed to get a car brought down, I'd try to do that. So I think I helped them out in that regard, and built a real good team in our dealership. And, we retained that status for a number of years, but customer satisfaction became a big thing in the automobile industry. And I think that was something that I was really, I had a little bit of a gift with, and able to push that and sell it to my salespeople. And eventually that pushed forward to our customers. And that was the most important thing, that they got treated properly.
That's very cool. I'm really intrigued by how well you did that. Not just you sold cars, but how good you were at too. That's fantastic. I like that. I like seeing former players be successful with something else, right? Something that's separate from the game. That's cool. Very good.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, you don't know where your talents and where your gifts are till you try something. And, you have to fail to succeed. I mean, you can't be afraid to fail. Go into it wholeheartedly. And, some of the things that I learned in the automobile business, I actually applied to, the role I have now, being an analyst. There was a lot of, specifics, that you had to learn in cars, engine size, dimensions, and all those type of things. So I learned to, put things in a storage in my mind. And I do the same thing, like when I apply to a broadcast, what things that, I decipher as important and what need to be said and get into the broadcast. And the little gifts that I learned doing that from some great salespeople, I apply to my job now.
Right. So again, just to be clear, you're doing the radio work for the LA Kings now, correct?
Yeah. Well, this year the Kings, we're going into a simulcast. So Nick Nixon, who's been the radio play-by-play announcer for 40 plus years, he's going to be the voice for the Kings. So he's on the simulcast along with Jim Fox, who's been a longtime color analyst on the TV broadcast. And then myself, I'm going to join that broadcast. So the 3 of us are going to be on the broadcast. We haven't got it all figured out yet. We're in the midst of piecing that all together. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great relationship. I've worked with Nick for 24, 25 years as his sidekick there on the radio, and with Jim Fox, a former teammate of mine. You know, I've watched him and worked alongside him when I've done some TV work as well. So it should be great, and hopefully we're able to, you know, bring the fans the connection that they're looking for to our hockey team and be able to tell the stories that we get to experience from our position.
So do you know, I had that job before. So when I first retired, I was, that was a blast. Nick was a fantastic guy to work with too.
No, he's great. Yeah. He does a great job. I learned something from those guys every day. I was blessed when I first came in. Nick was my partner, and then Bob Miller, the great Bob Miller, who did 40 plus years in the Hockey Hall of Fame and that, and then Jim Fox, who had established himself as an analyst already. Those were the three guys I got to work with. So I continually learn from those guys and other guys in on the other teams in our position. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, you sound like you just got that personality. Just what I know is this is the first time I've ever talked to Daryl. Obviously, we've known each other from a distance, but you've got that personality. You're a fun-loving guy. You'll say the suits you wear. You guys, you got to look them up. Some of the suits you put on. I mean, I feel like I'm brave and will try different things. I danced in front of 18,000 people at Madison Square Garden. Some of those suits you put on, I don't know if I could do that or not. That's good.
It's a lot of fun. And, you just have to kind of get out of your comfort zone a little. And with regards to some of the suits in that, like when we have with our foundation here, I work closely with them, and we'll raffle off some of those suits, the holiday themed ones, and raises money for the foundation. But people, it's become a habit now. Like, what are you wearing next Halloween? What are you wearing here? And it's like, let's have fun with it. It's and I look at I think I'm a pretty lively, energetic type of person. So I think the suits kind of speak of who I am.
You guys are very similar in that approach, but can you help Tom with his wardrobe? Because he doesn't have any drip, Daryl. He wears black T-shirts.
Is it drip, like DRI?
You got the drip, yes.
Well, that is true. Yeah, I went through a phase there where I got to be a little bit of a clothes snob. I was buying like Hugo Boss and all this kind of stuff. Now I got back to the Costco T-shirts.
Nothing wrong with that. Wear what you're comfortable in.
Yeah, right. There you go, brother. So where do you get the suits? Did people send you them?
No, I have a young lady that it's funny. The young lady who makes them for me now. I used to get them out of Montreal. There was a family there that Giovanni that made suits for a number of years.
Yeah.
And then a young lady here who I help our ice crew, the kids that clean the ice between periods and between face-offs or whistles. I help them with their skating and that. So I always ask them what they're doing. And one girl said, I go, at FITM, the Fashion Institute down in Los Angeles. I said, oh, men's suits. She goes, no, women's clothing. I said, well, if you ever get into men's suits, let me know. I says, and I'll be your first customer. So a couple of years go by, and she reaches up to me. She goes, oh, Mr. Evans, she says, I'm selling men's suits. I said, okay, cool. Congratulations. She said, can I come show you some cloths? I said, yeah. So she brings me over to traditional, like pinstripes, checks, and, some nice patterns, beautiful cloths. I said, they're really nice, but it was kind of like Dumb and Dumber, when it brought weren't in that blue tuxedo. Like I said, I need something a little alive. So she goes, okay. She said, give me a week. The light goes off. She comes back the next week, and she's got all kinds of these cloths. And we're talking, and I guess I just lit up when I saw them. So she became my suit maker. So now she's got her own little company. It's called Gentleman's Jersey, and she makes my suits. So she designs the style and take my input of what I think, and she's got some great creativity in her. And I go to a point now where I actually go down to I asked her, I said, can I go to the cloth store with you? She goes, yeah, sure, come on in. So I go in like T-shirt, short, young lady that's there, she's, oh, can we help you out? Thinking that this young girl's either my daughter or, she's not even half my age. And so, we're looking around, and she'll be looking at different things. I'm looking over the other side, and the first lady that we dealt with, I picked up this cloth. I go, and Brooks, the young lady's name, I said, hey, Brooke, I said, you got to take a look at it. And the young lady said, oh, I said, I don't think it'll go with her skin color, because she's blonde. And this. I said, for her, I said, and it's for me. She goes, what are you going to make, a tie? I said, like hell, is that making a suit? And that's funny. What are some of the pictures of the ones that we've already made? She goes, wow, these are cool. So it's a treat when I go to the closet. Yeah. So I'm going in there.
Well, Daryl, what I like about it is it's like that courage thing too. Like people see it, they go, "Oh, that's incredible! That guy we will wear the suits." I think that's fantastic. Yeah.
I think you need one, Tom.
I'm gonna get one. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, definitely. So, do you ever, I guess you get it made for you. I was going to say, do you ever get to the point where you look at one suit and go, oh, geez, maybe that's too much? It doesn't seem like it, right? There's never too much.
There's never really anything that's too much out there. It's like,
that's cool.
And I think probably one of the greatest compliments I got when wearing the suits early on came from Don Cherry. We were in the Stanley Cup Finals against the New Jersey Devils, and he asked me where I got my suits from, and I'm going, "Oh my God, Don Cherry asking me where I got my suits from." He goes, "Those are cool."
That's actually I'm sure everybody knows Don Cherry, but whoever doesn't, he was famous. He played, but he's more famous coaching the Boston Bruins and being on Hockey Night in Canada. Yep. And he's famous for his custom-made suits, but he was more famous like the big collar too. Right?
Yeah, he had that big collar. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And he's Mr. Controversy too. So for him, that's pretty cool. He came and said that. That's why.
That's a nice endorsement. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So then, okay, so you were in the car salesmanship, just decided, okay, that's enough of that. I'm getting out of that. Or did this job offer come to you?
No, it's funny how it all came about. I'm at the airport picking my brother up, and that's at LAX. And that's back at the time when you could go there and almost tailgate, have a party. You can't stop there anymore now. Yeah. And off the plane, just ahead of my brother, comes Sam McMaster, the new general manager of the Kings.
Oh, yeah.
So Sam gets the job as the general manager. Sam used to be my coach, general manager, when I was 9-10 years old. And he was my baseball coach as well. So we shake hands. How you doing? He says, "What are you doing here?" So I'm picking on my brother. He goes, and my brother looks a lot like me. He said, "I thought I saw him on the plane, but like he was way in the back there." And he said, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I manage a Cadillac dealership." He goes, "Well, give me your card." He says, "I'm going to need a car." He says, "I'll give you a call in the morning." I went, "Yeah, right. I'll be damned." By 10 o'clock the next morning, Sam's on the phone. He goes, "Hey, Daryl," he said, "the Kings told me to go ahead and get a car, and this and that." So we ended up talking to somebody in marketing, and we ended up putting a deal together where we traded 3 cars to the Kings. I want to say it was for Rogie Vachon and maybe Larry Robinson, who was coaching at the time, and those type of things. And in turn, we got some season tickets. We got a picture in the program, which was me standing by the cars in our lot. And then there was a 30-second radio commercial. And we'd have fulfilled everything so far, and about 2-3 weeks go in, and the Kings reach out to me and say, "Hey, Daryl, nobody from your dealership has reached back to us in with regards to the commercial, the radio commercial." So I talked to our president and say, "Hey, what the hell are we doing here? We're wasting their time." He goes, why don't you just go do it? I've never done anything like that. So I said, okay. So Nick Nixon arranges for me, gives me a pair of tickets, and we're going to come to a game, and I'm going to cut the commercial at like 4 o'clock, a few hours before the game, and then stay and watch the game. Well, Mike Allison, another former player,
he was doing it. Yeah, that's right.
He was the analyst at the time, and he wasn't in the rink yet, when I was there. And I said to Nick, "Hey, where's Mike?" And he goes, "Oh, something happened at home. I think somebody had passed in the family." He said he just got the news like just a little while ago, so he's making arrangements to fly out tomorrow. He's going to come do the game and then fly out tomorrow. I said, "Oh, sorry to hear that." And then I think I had like the scheduler or something was in front of me, like play the game notes or something, and I saw they had a game either the next night or the night after. I said, "Well, who's doing this game with you?" "Oh, geez, I never thought of it." I said, "Well, I'll do it with you." And that's how I did my first game.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it was kind of cool. You give me game notes. They were going to play against St. Louis, and I studied up a little bit on them. And so I did that game. Mike came back, and he finished the season off. Later in the year, the Kings came to me and offered me the position. But I just established myself in the car business as, I was up in the management side of things, and my salaries increased. I just having my second child, and I've just bought a house. And unfortunately, the difference between the two salaries, I couldn't make ends meet the way it was going to go. So as much as I wanted to get back into hockey, I couldn't. So I said, okay. And they said, okay, well, we'll keep you in mind, somewhere down the road. So they hired Cammy Granato. Cammy Granato comes on board. And then Cammy, they said, "Cammy got a couple of functions that she's got to go to. Could you maybe fill in for, 3-4?" And that would work good. And I talked to my dealership, and they said everything was fine, and we went from there. And then Cammy ended up going back and joining the Olympic team. And when she joined the Olympic team, that means she needed a few more times off. So I ended up getting, I think it was 17 games that year. And it was a great experience. I really enjoyed doing it. before the end of the season came about, the Kings came to me because of the experience that I had with sales, high-end sales. They were getting ready to open up Staples Center in October. They asked me to come over and be the director of suites and premier seat sales down at Staples Center.
Wow, everybody wants you.
Yeah. So I accepted that role. We just started up our alumni association. I became the president of the alumni association. I was filling in part-time on the radio broadcast when Cammie couldn't be around. And things were good. Things were busy. And then we opened up our training facility. We broke ground on our training facility in El Segundo, where we still practice today. And they asked me to be the general manager of that facility. So I was busy there for a little bit.
No kidding.
And, the next year they came to me and they offered me the position full time on the radio, and that goes back to 1999. So I've been doing the radio full time from '99. It's been a great experience. The people I've met, the things I've learned about the game and being able to stay involved with our team. And, I'm involved in all our youth programs, our hockey camps. I head off our hockey camp. Derek Armstrong helps us out with it now as well, since he retired. I've been the commissioner of the high school hockey league. I was president of our girls hockey program. And
Jesus, what don't you do? Hold on a second,
Tom. I'm like you. I don't think you sleep too much either. I sleep just a few hours a night, so I try to take advantage of all the time that I have, the energy that I have, and
that's cool.
Places.
Well, it's a huge compliment to you too that people come to you all the time to offer you to do. I mean, it says something about your personality, your intelligence, your work ethic. So that's fantastic. Again, like I said before, I love it when former players. Listen, it's great to have that great career, but you kind of got to move on, right? Have other things in your life. So. That's certainly what you've done. So
yeah, well, Daryl's done he has like 15 jobs. Let's just get us.
That's cool. That's very cool. So I got a funny. So when I first retired, the San Jose Sharks first started. And they hired the Dennis Hull to do the color commentating. Dennis is a fantastic public speaker, but he just couldn't get it together to do the color work. So knowing that I'd done the stuff with the Kings, they brought me in to do like the last 90% of the games with the Sharks, and so we were in Chicago doing a game, and it was a TV timeout, and they had a close up of the big organ there in Chicago Stadium. They had a close up, and they had Barry Manilow's picture on the sheet music on the organ. So I said I can't remember the nice older gentleman I was doing the games with. I can't remember his name. So I said to him during the TV break. So, but obviously, as you know, the producers could hear it. And I said, that guy's got Barry Manilow on his organ. And so the producers talk in my ear, and they go, "You won't say that when we come back on." And they were daring me. So no. Now my father's at home in Brampton, Ontario. He's got the big satellite dish, so he's watching the game. And back in those days, you could get the feed during the TV time.
Yeah.
So he's watching it, and he told me after, he's going, "Oh no, he's going to do it. He's going to do it." So we come back on, and I had to do it. I said, "No, look at that." And then they fed it right to me too. They had the cameraman zero in on the sheet music a little bit. I go, "That guy's got Barry Man." And this older, I can't remember the guy's name. They're doing the play-by-play, great older gentleman, real gentleman. He's just dying, like he's can't even talk.
And that's why you lasted a year on.
Yeah, that's the end of that career. Yeah, but I guess the reason I tell the story, it seems like you've got that personality too, right? Like you're willing to wear the bold suits and doing all these things. Are you bring that personality on air on the radio?
Yeah, I think I've gotten more and more comfortable over the years, and I know the people like the listeners that watch and listen to our broadcast. They enjoy that part of me, and being as involved as I am in the, in the community and all that, like my personality comes out in all the things that I do. I host a run club for the Kings as well, where we meet once a week. And, so they know my personality. So they love to see it when it comes out on, on the air, or, a couple of things that I'll say, maybe even on the radio where you're not even seeing like the visual, but, guy might take a stick or a puck. You drop a couple of chiclets on the ice.
Yeah.
So people like to hear those little, those little things, the anecdotes that we use, like as players, as teammates, or in our game. And so I try to deliver as much of that as possible.
Yeah, and people don't know with the radio, it's kind of tougher, right? Because you've got a short window there where you've got to explain what happened and why it happened. Like with TV, it's the visuals there already. You're just explaining why it's happened. I'm trying to downplay the importance of that job, but the radio work is tough. I mean, for you to, again, like you and I both say, we like to talk too, but you can't talk too much, right? You got to get to the point, get it there.
And that's why I've been very fortunate working with such a great play-by-play guy, Nick Nixon. He gives me my space when to talk, and because we have worked so long together, and I think probably even going back before I even started working with him, I'd always have him on, listening to him. When I was away from the game, when I was in the car business, I always have the games on. I'd always be listening to Nick. So it's almost, I kind of knew like when the cue was, when to go in and that, and we have a great relationship, and with regards to on the air as to when to step in, and when's important, and of course, just like anybody, I mean, every once in a while we step on each other's toes, because a play will come up out of nowhere, and you gotta give it back to the play-by-play guy. He's got to carry it. So, but no, he's great to work with.
Yeah, it's good. Bob Miller's not doing the games any longer, correct?
No, Bob retired. He's been a handful of years now. So, but he still comes to a lot of the games. Talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He's doing well, and people like that. With all the things that he experienced with the team, the players, the stories that he's got to tell. They're worth their weight in gold, and people love like when we have different type of events, like, and Bob will speak, and the questions will come out, and it just I've heard the stories hundreds of times, but it never gets old listening to him tell them.
Yeah, he's got one of those voices, right? We had Sam Rosen on, Kenny Albert, that shows, and they've got those voices, right? And then he's in that same category as far as his voice. And same with Nick Nixon. Yeah, he's he's done radio more, so people may not listen to him as much, but he's good too. Yeah, that was a great crew. Is Bob Borgen still working?
No, he's not with us anymore.
Okay.
Like Steve, but we see him from time to time. Yeah, Bob, he actually contributes. I know he and Nick Nixon stay in close contact, and he contributes to our trivia questions when we do our call-in show on the radio, and he'll come up with some good ones and all that. And we talk about him. We mention his name as to where the questions came from. And
yeah, he's a great guy. So I was doing probably the same way. I was doing all the practical jokes all the time, putting the baby powder in the hairdryer.
Yeah.
And so he found out all that stuff, and he wanted to do like a special show on that. So they had it so that like it was my silhouette, like I was this criminal and I was admitting to my crimes, kind of thing.
It's if you haven't seen this, it's like acting on par with like, I don't know, De Niro, Pacino. It's up there. It's amazing acting.
It was funny too, and the guys were good too. So it's funny watching the video because Mario Goose Goslin was the goalie.
Okay.
And we had the phone on the wall, which everybody sees it now. And so I put the shaving cream on the phone, called them over. I got Luke Rowe. Luke was great too. He got a face full of powder. He got him with the baby powder. And then Marty McSorley with the shaving cream and the towels too. So
the towel, yeah.
Yeah, God.
What up, prankster?
I look back at that stuff, and I bet you were the same way. I couldn't wait to get to the rink and be a total smart ass at the rink. Were you like that too?
Oh yeah, like never grow up. I mean, that's the part. Like that's where sometimes, like when you look at like the wives, when they get first wind of like when they start hearing about things, like, don't you guys ever grow up?
No,
we don't grow up.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing though.
Well, Tom has been a big hockey fan. Tom Smith, my producer here, and so we've done over 50 shows now. So Tom's got to talk to a lot of the guys like yourself, and he shakes his head sometimes. He says, "You guys never grow up." And I think that's the key for us now too. Right? Like, don't grow up.
Well, especially the both of you guys. Look at you both. You're out doing things. You're working out. You're involved with the community. Daryl's wearing these amazing suits. Tom, you wear black shirts, but you guys are doing positive things. And that's great. That's awesome. And look at Daryl's Facebook page. It's like, his Instagram page is like yours.
Yeah,
it's all these great activities, all positive. That stuff breeds positivity. That's awesome.
Well, I think Daryl, a real compliment too. We've talked before. We have a mutual friend, a young girl that's a king skater. She's a big Survivor fan, and what I love is like she was talking like we're kind of like I don't know, for surrogate fathers or whatever, we're taking care of. She talks to us both the same way, that we just got this we look at life, right? It's like we're not going to be here forever, so let's live all over what we're doing. And I think that's the suits are the big thing for me. I think oh, that is so cool.
Well, it's also it's also the positivity. It's all that stuff is good. Really good.
It is, and Tom, like I know, like she talks a lot about, and with regards to the Survivor and all that, and when you look at somebody like in that age group, they're the future of our world, or the next generation, and when you can leave an impact and influence somebody like that, you're a life changer, and that's what it makes it all worth it. It's when you see things like that, smiles you put on their face, and maybe how you change their lives on certain things they were doing or weren't doing. It's great, and I'm glad we have a mutual friend like that. And and again, she commented many times that the similarities between yourself and myself.
Other than the bald head?
Yeah, no, believe me, I only got a couple of feathers up there. They're not too.
There you go. All right, get rid of them all. Shave them all off. God, that was one of the best things I ever did. To be honest with you, my sons used to joke around. And said I was getting a peninsula on the top of my head with the hair, and it soon became an island. And then I said, "This, I'm getting rid of it. It's gone."
Now we got the full globe, right?
There you go. Yeah, shave it all off. There, Tom's getting that. I'm trying to get Tom to just shave it off.
My wife won't let me, but I need to. I got the cul-de-sac going on.
Good. That's a nice one. I like.
But Daryl, I wanted to ask you about that goal again, because I'm sure. How many times have you seen it? Do you still think about it? And does it still pop in your head from time to time? Like how? Because we had Bernie Nichols on, and this great video for anyone who hasn't seen it of him chasing you down the rink, hooking you to try to celebrate after you scored.
That's something I'll never forget. It's a great memory. I didn't play nearly as long in the National Hockey League as I'd like to have. I didn't win a Stanley Cup as a player. So a moment like that definitely, is going to last forever with me. And I never get old. Never gets old talking about it. And it was a special end. I think I've learned to appreciate it a lot more in the years following than actually that particular night. When you come up as a 21-year-old and you just come out of junior hockey, you get into some crazy games playing junior hockey, but to have something like that happen in the NHL against, one of the greatest teams at that time, the Edmonton Oilers, with all the talent they had on the other side, it just magnifies it a little bit more. And like I say, something I'll never forget, appreciate each and every day.
Yeah. Tom brings up a good point too. What were you thinking when you were skating after you scored? You're skating down the ice.
Here's my thing. I wasn't thinking when I shot the puck.
But you're like, why is Bernie Nichols hooking me?
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I tell a story all the time about we were playing with Wayne, and he was trying to tie and break Gordie Howe's point record. And we're playing up in Edmonton, and we understand how big the game was and the moment was and everything. And we're having a 4-on-4, and it's Bernie Nichols is part of the story too. And so I'm on the ice with Bernie Nichols, Wayne, and Steve Duchesne. And on the other side, it's like a Hall of Fame, Paul Coffey and Mark Messier and all the four guys. So, but they're not worried about me. They're thinking it's not going to score. So they're all over Wayne and Bernie and Steve. And I'm standing right in the middle of the slot. And of course, Wayne finds him the puck. Now I go into panic mode. Like, what am I going to do here? I felt like just I was going to close my eyes and shoot the puck. Yeah. But off to the side of that, Bernie Nichols was getting tied up by Charlie Huddy. And I'd say, screw it. I don't care if he's tied up or not. I'm passing to Bernie. And this is the year he scored 70 goals. So he tips it and scores. And the crowd goes crazy. Looks like this fantastic play. Great play, Tommy. Bernie's covered. What were you thinking, you idiot? I was covered. I said, I would get rid of it. I don't care. So I just, I could just picture Bernie, that picture, skating down. There's a guy with a fantastic sense of humor, too. He was a great player.
Oh, Bernie, yeah. He was a character. He was a real outgoing type of guy. And, he loved to score. He had the famous pumpernickel back then.
Yeah.
He loved celebrating his goals.
Yeah, definitely. How is Rogie Vachon doing? Is he still around?
Yeah, he's in Montana.
Oh.
Yeah, he moved from here. His son, Nick, he's out there as well. And he's doing well. I haven't seen him for a little bit, but he's on the golf course and enjoying himself. And so I hear good news on him. So
he's a nice man. I really liked him a lot. Like a really quiet guy. He's part of a lot of big stuff. I feel bad for him in some ways, right? Because when Bruce McNall came in, it's like poor Rogie was this.
Yeah.
We were terrible because if we wanted to get a new contract done, we go to Rogie first. We weren't getting what we want. We just go right to Bruce, and it's so wrong, especially for me going in the agent business after that. I just think, on that one, but it worked, unfortunately. Yes. Well, listen, I'm really glad you and I got to meet. I'm glad you came on the show. Like I said, I've heard so many great things about you as a person, and talking to you today, all the stuff that you've done, I really mean this. And you mentioned before you didn't get to play in the NHL as much as you wanted to, but when you look at your life, like you've done so many things after the game, I think it just says so much about you as your personality, your character. So that's fantastic about you.
I appreciate it, Tom, and keep up the great work. And as you mentioned there, like I tell a lot of people, they say you played in the NHL and all that, and that was great, but. Honestly and truly, I'm more proud of what I've accomplished post-career than I have that I did playing. Being involved in charity work and things like that. Being out in the community, helped the game grow here in California. It's something that I can't even express how proud I am of what we've been able to do as a team here and to be part of it.
Wow, I'll tell you, I'm so impressed by that. I love that mentality. I feel the same way. Again, I was proud I played in the NHL, but yeah, you always want to do more in the NHL, win cups, all that kinds of stuff. Yeah, I love where I am now. Stuff we do, even though we got to hang out with Tom Smith there.
Yeah, sorry. It's sacrifice.
Daryl, thank you again very much. Keep doing all the good stuff you're doing, and hopefully we'll have you on another show in the future.
Thanks so much, Daryl.
Stay healthy and well. God bless you.
There you go.
Thanks so much. Hey, you got a big smile on your face because that was a great episode. I know that Daryl Evans is a man after your own heart there.
Oh,
very positive.
My twin brother is. I never talked to Daryl before. Again, we got mutual friends, but I've heard so many great things about him. You know, he's got this wild suits he wears all the time. But what I don't like is he's 62. He doesn't sit back and say, geez, I wish I played the innings more. Yeah, you do. We wish you'd play more. But, man, he's living life. Just
No, he worked every single job for the Kings you could think of.
It wasn't just the fact that he was a card. He was a very good card dealer, too, like winning all awards and stuff.
No, that's great. And just, again, like you, he's putting positivity out into the world. That just breeds more positivity. He's an awesome guy. The energy, you know, he's just you have a good feeling to talk to people like that. And that's awesome.
Can't wait to have him on again right after
Absolutely.
So he was good. Great, really like you said. Great story. From the hockey party, scored the big game-winning goal.
Miracle in Manchester. That's legendary.
But that's almost like secondary. Well, it is secondary to his life that he's got going on.
Well, that's the thrust of this show is that it's about the hockey people. We love the stories, the inside stories, but it's also like, what kind of life have you had since? You know, what positive stuff have you put out there? He's a great example of.
For sure. We talked about this before too, with this podcast. What I really like is I didn't anticipate that part of it being that interesting, more the life after the year. You know, it's like, you know, get guys like Steph Mattola comes on and talks about scoring that, you know, game-winning goals that he did. But he's had the stuff he's doing now.
He's working schools in the Bronx. Like, he's doing good things. But he's helping himself and he's helping people. And that's great. That's a huge positive.
Get you Daryl Evans, man. That was fantastic. I know when you told me we had him on, cool. I've never met this guy.
A miracle on Manchester. Big goal. Great show, Thomas.
Fantastic show. El show.
That's great.
All right, Grasshoppers. Thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.